probably one of the best councillors in the country. He's a councillor here in Cork. And if anyone knows real community action, really keeping community as almost extended family, you know, reaching out to young, hooking them up with you know, linking them to elderly, bridging generations, just keeping an area functioning. It's Chris. So I'd like to invite Chris to come up. He's the independent councillor. Thank you.
I suppose, first of all, to start by saying, you know, it's opportunities like this that we come together, and I believe, you know, that even though we have a crisis, or we have a recession, as some people might call it, or a glitch, at times other people use as the terminology that they use, probably offend us most, I think this is a great opportunity for us. It's a great opportunity for us to take stock of where we're at, and what has failed. Because it's only when we recognise what has failed that we can actually move forward. And I'm a great believer, I suppose, in saying that, yes, there are lots of issues that are facing us every day. And I suppose, from where I come from, I think that's the challenge. How do we overcome those situations and move forward? I suppose, first of all, I'd like to say that, you know, we're not all born into politics. It's not something that you automatically take your father's seat or your family seat in politics. You know, we're not all born into it, and I think it's important to state that. I think that whether we like it or not, some of us are trusted into politics. And we're trusted into politics because of the stances and because of what we believe. And I think all too frequently we have people who abuse politics. And I think this is why we're in the situation that we're in. There are very good people in politics, regardless of their political affiliations. I started out as a community activist. I'm still a community activist. I'll always be a community activist. I currently work my job that brings in probably the food and pays the bills in many respects is a community worker. I work in an anti-poverty project. I've always worked either voluntary or in paid or unpaid work within my community and within my city. I suppose there's a number of things that have touched me today with regards to some of the previous speakers. It's the whole thing about trust. It's the whole thing about honesty. And for me as a public representative, it's really about serving people. Not what I can get or put in my pocket, but about what's best for us all. And I must say that not everybody in politics subscribes to those beliefs or values. In the work that I do on an everyday basis, there are a number of things I need to outline from the start. And that's quite clearly, we use language. We use language that means one thing to one person and something else to someone else. And I need to put out very clearly my stall. When I talk about development, I'm talking about people, not the other way around. When I talk about development, I'm talking about people based on values and based on a quality of life. That to me is what development means to me. And in my everyday work, regardless whether it's my work as a community worker or in my work as a local councillor or in any other voluntary work I do, it's really, when I talk about development, I'm really talking about people. So it's not about an economic investment. It's not about property. It's not about what we would call, what others call, the norms of society. we must always start where people are at. Because if we don't start where people are at, then we've left them behind before we've even got off the ground. I suppose, just to give some background to myself, one thing is that I come from a family of 12. I was reared in a council house in the city, in Balfihan, 2-bedroomed house. I'm the second eldest of that family of 12. Interesting enough, I did say we weren't born into politics. My other members of my family took a different political route than I did. But we were always interested in the struggles of people because we had a sense of belonging. We had a sense of where we were coming from. And I suppose in many respects, we had certain values. We had certain values because we came from a background where, we grew up together. We always fought and fell out and whatever, but we always made up. We never left any one of us, I suppose, really, to one side, letting them struggle. We supported each other. And I think this is the first community that I really got to know as an individual and as a child growing up. The community of my family. And for me, everything else outside of that begins to mushroom out. In our communities, and over the last number of years, unlike other politicians, I probably raised my head too much up over that umbrella and had it taken off on a number of occasions. I'm still here standing. I've taken stances that are not populist stances. I believe that we must always start from where we're at and our home. If we're talking about community, we must always start within our own home and we work outwards. And I say that around issues like anti-poverty stances or even things like anti-social behaviour. It's a buzzword now, okay? And again, facing the brunt of other people's disapproval of my stances on things like anti-social behaviour and stuff like that, I wanted people within my community to take a sense of ownership. The last 20 years we've seen the transient community within our communities. People who wanted, to make the best of their own situation, but never had time to give anything back. I remember in the 80s, quite clearly, moving into my own home, my current home in the Mahon area. It was a new community, a very vibrant community, great excitement, brand new houses built by direct labour. They were one of the last direct labour units in the city. Local authority housing that was second to none, to be honest about it. Fantastic place in the sense of green spaces, a lot of space there for people to get along and develop. In the 80s, we had something like 65%, if not 70% unemployment in that area. So automatically, what you had in a housing allocation, you had deprivation being trusted upon people at one level. You had situations where high unemployment was followed by early school leaving, you had breakdown in family units, dysfunctional families, and we've now seen the knock-on effect over the years in certain communities.